Hi there, this is going to be a video tutorial on how to do all of the tasks in the Skeld map for Among Us. So when you jump into free play, you'll probably be the only one around this table, which is what free play is. You basically are just practicing on your own, and I do recommend doing that before you jump into actual live games. So you know what you're doing and you're not lost as you're going through. So I went ahead and added all of the tasks that are in this map. And we're going to go through them one room by room so you can see how to do them. And I'll give you some tips along the way. So you can close this map, and I'm going to probably do that just because it's a long list here so we can see what the map looks like. To get to visually see where you're going, you can actually click on the map here. And you always start off in the cafeteria. So we're going to start off with the two tasks here that are in the cafeteria. And anytime you see a yellow exclamation point, that's where your tasks are if you're a crewmate. So let's go ahead and jump over here to these tasks. Anytime you're next to a task, it's going to pop up with this yellow highlighted outline. So you can get right to it and then click on the use button. Download is just, it's kind of a longer task. It takes about 8 or 9 seconds to actually do the download. And unfortunately, you can't see behind it. It is a two-step process. So there's an upload process and then a download process, then an upload process. That's always in the admin room. So you can download in multiple locations on the on the map. This is not the only location. This is the trash chute. So if we go to do this, here's a tip on the trash chute. As soon as you open that and click on the use button, go ahead and pull that lever down immediately. That actually shortens the amount of time that it takes to actually clear out the trash. I didn't do it great there, but it's a lot easier to do on mobile versus desktop, which is what I'm on right now. That is also a two-step process. So you can see there's another arrow that's appeared here for the second steps. We're going to go ahead and actually do those second steps here before we move on to another room. So this is the upload process. And if we just do upload, same thing. It's about 8 to 9 seconds to actually upload the data. And that's it. Let's go to the second step of the trash chute. Now, this is one of the, if the visuals are on this map, this is one of the visual tasks. So if someone was around you and they see right here, they're looking at the storage chute, what's going to happen is when you pull this lever, there's going to be trash that'll visually pop out. And that is one way that they can tell that you're an actual crew member and not an imposter. So watch. You can kind of, yep, you can see it happen right there after the lever is pulled. So that's done. Let's go ahead and jump. Since we're already here in storage, let's go and do the fueling task. Now, this is kind of a two-step process here as well. You're going to fill your canister, and then it's always going to take you to the upper engine first. You see this arrow here. It's going to take you to the upper engine, and then we have to come back here again, filling up our canister and going to the lower engine. So there's kind of like actually 3-step process here, not just 2 steps. So let's go ahead and do this, get this out of the way. Here's the lower engine, and you would go over here to fill that up. But that's the second one. We need to go to the upper engine first. There is the fuel. So we're going to fill that up. Let's go back to the storage and fill up our canister once again. And let's go now to the lower engine. All right, so cafeteria and storage tasks are now done. Since we're here, let's go actually go up to the upper engine and let's do the engine calibrate task. I think this is called align engine output. So the task here is to basically pull this up to here, but the shortcut to do it is to just double click on this line that's in the middle. Oh, that used to work. Okay. Well, basically, you do have to move the arrow, so you have to get it in alignment. This is a two-step process, so the second one is going to be in the lower engine. Same thing. You're just going to pull that lever into the middle until it aligns, and you see that green line there. All right, now let's go over to the reactor and do those two tasks in that room. Leave this for last because it's annoying. This one is a number. You basically have to do these in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that was the unlock manifolds task. So that's that one. Here's another one. This is considered a longer one, and it's basically Simon Says. So you look for what button was flashed here, and it'll also give you a sound, and you do them in order. Now, for if whatever reason, if I forget what the order was, you can actually X out of this and come right back, and it should be, yeah, see, it'll do it again just in case you didn't catch it the first time. So that's a little tip. All right. Reactor tasks are done. Now we can jump over to med bay. Let's do this one next. Here's a visual task in med bay, and it is the scan. Medical scan. So when you're on it, you can actually see a visual shield that pops up that's scanning you. And if people are around you, they'll see the same thing. So if I just do the use task or the use, you can see it scanning me, and that little green scanner is something that will show up for other people as well. That is a visual task. And that's it. All right, the next one in medbay is the inspect sample. This is a two-step process. You basically have to start it, and then it does its own thing. There's a countdown. It's about 60 seconds. You have to come back after 60 seconds, or after an emergency meeting is called or a body is reported, it'll automatically be 60 seconds later. So you'll come back and do the second step there. Let's go to electrical next. Electrical is known as the death trap. So my recommendation is try not to go into electrical alone or with just one person. The more people you can have in there with you, the better. That way you can actually have some people verify you were in there, or they could protect you. All right, this first one is the divert task. Any of these levers can be lit up, but it's the one that's lit up that you have to push up, and it will give you a second arrow to go to and actually divert the power switch to whatever location. So we'll do that in a second. This middle one is the wires. This one is a three-step process. You have to do wires in 3D locations on the map. So I did the first step, and you can see there's the next one over here. And then the last task in electrical is annoying. It's called the Calibrate Task. And you basically have to wait until this little moving switch hits this icon or this section, and then push the button. So, and see, if you don't do it right, it starts all over. So sometimes I'll wait for it to go around, but that does make this task feel a lot longer than it needs to be. All right, let's go and do the second steps of those two tasks. So I'm going to go to the wires here first. Same thing, it's just you're connecting the wires in a different location on the ship. And here is the third step for the wires. And then let's go ahead and, since I'm here, I'm going to do the admin swipe task. Now, on mobile, this is a lot easier to do. So If you're on a mobile device, you're going to go ahead and just do this, and it will work. But on desktop, if you're doing this, this is not going to work very well. So you have to swipe the card. You can't do it too slow. You can't do it too fast. So you kind of have to work at it to get it to swipe properly, and you'll get the order or the speed of it eventually. What I'm going to do next is the divert task. So I know I'm kind of going out of order here, but I want to go ahead and show you the second step here. So that is the divert switch. And all you do is just click this little switch here to connect the power. All right, since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and do these two navigation tasks. This one is to basically move the ship along the path. So you have to just drag the ship as you're doing it. All right, and then the next one is to align the, what is this one called? This one is called stabilize steering. So the shortcut here, really what you have to do is drag this over here, but the shortcut is just to tap the center and it should automatically align itself. All right, that is all the navigation. We'll go ahead and do this next one right here, which is a cleaning vent task, this is not the only location where this can happen. Now, when you open this, you have to get close enough. When you open this, sometimes on rare occasions, if there's an imposter in the vent, it'll actually make this loud sound and you'll see them pop out. It'll actually force them to pop out. But most of the time when you go to clean this, nothing will be there. You just have to click on the items that are in um, the vent to clean it out. And that's all. There are other locations on the map for vents. I'll go over that a little bit later, but let's go ahead and do the next task, which is another visual task. So this is weapons. If you get close enough to it, let me actually do it from the side so you can see these are the weapons that basically shoot out the lasers. So when you're doing this, I have to basically click on each one of these asteroids and you'll see these shoot. And it's a visual task. So if someone is actually near you and they're close enough to the side of the ship, they'll see the same thing that we're going to see here. You have to do 20 of these asteroids. So I'm just going to click on each one until I get 20 of them. And you can see as I'm doing this, one more there. All right. So that is the weapons. That's another visual task. Prove you are a crewmate. Shield is another visual task. So typically, before you go to it, um, or before anyone does this task, and multiple people can have the shields task, it's actually going to light up these lights here. So there's two ways to do this. You can get right here behind this little wall, or you can get right here and you can actually see it lights up and you can click on the use button. All you need to do is just click on each one of these buttons. However, if there's like multiple ones that are kind of grouped together, you can kind of click right in the middle of them and it should click all of them off. So you don't have to go click, click, click for each one of them. That's kind of a shortcut there. Uh, I don't know if you caught that, but it did flash. And in a normal game, it'll probably flash a lot more in your face. So that is another visual task. Okay, let's go to the admin room and do the O2 room and do a couple of those tasks. And then we will do the last step for the medical inspection or the inspect samples. All right, this is a cleaning out I forget what this one's called. I'll look at it in a second. You basically are dragging each one of these leaves, and sometimes it takes a while to get them into the suction. That one is called the O2 Clean O2 filter. And now we're doing the trash chute. I think we might have done this one before. There's two locations where this can happen. So again, pulling this down. Second step is to go down to the trash chute and pull it. Sometimes you'll only have one of those if you do have that task. So we'll go to the bottom of the storage and do the trash chute again to finish out the second step. And visually see that there. All right, last step or last task is to go inspect the medical samples. And you have to look for the one that's red and then just click the little button that's underneath. All right, so let's talk about all of the different locations for venting because there are multiple locations. I'm going to go ahead and change myself into, whoops, what's up here, to an engineer or an imposter. Um, I'm going to go ahead and do an imposter. An imposter, basically, there's several things that you can do. You can sabotage. And when you sabotage, it's basically stopping people from doing their job. So anytime you see an X like this, that's a door. So all of the doors in the cafeteria would close. Med bay doors, security doors, upper engine, lower engine, electrical doors, storage. And that's all of the doors. You do have to do them one by one if you want to close doors all across the map. This is another sabotage. That's the reactor. If it goes off, you'll hear an alarm happen. And to stop or to fix the reactor, there's two people that are required to go into that room. There's a little place to put your hand on one side of the wall, and then the other person has to do the same to stop the reactor and get it to reset. Another sabotage is the lights. So if you turn off the lights, that's one place it happens. Of course, it happens all over the map, is what I meant to say. But you can fix the lights by going in here to the electrical room, and someone has to just basically flip all of the switches on the wall. So I'll show you what that looks like. And as an imposter, you can actually fix your own sabotages to make yourself look more like a crewmate if you want to. And then actually, there's two more sabotages. Clicking on the O2 sabotage is the same kind of alarm, but instead of having people go to reactor, you have to have one person go up here to the O2 switch, and then there's another person that has to go to admin, and there's a code that needs to be entered on both sides for that to be turned off. The communications, if this one is a sabotage, basically that just means that nobody on the security cameras can see the security camera locations. And also, if there are angels, they are not able to protect people. And also, if you're an engineer, that means that you cannot vent from room to room. So that's what that does there. All right, so let's go and do some sabotages, and I'll show you how to fix them. I'm going to do probably O2 because I can time myself so that I can get to that. And I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll do comms, and then we'll fix the lights. And then I'm just going to show you what happens when the door is closed. So we'll start with the doors first. All right, so the doors, unfortunately, on the Skeld map, you cannot fix them. You just have to wait for about 5 or 10 seconds, and they'll open on their own. Okay, so that's one thing. Let me go ahead and get right here to the O2. And of course, we'll do this first. I'm going to enter the code here. Now I have to do it on the other side. And to get there quickly, just for purposes of showing you how to get there, I'm just going to vent there so it's a quick thing. All right, so codes are entered on both sides. Obviously, if you are an imposter, I probably wouldn't recommend venting like that. Really, the only reason why you want to do a vent is to kill people or to go from location to location. All right, now we're gonna see, as you can see, there's a cooldown time. So like I can't do another sabotage until these are cooled down. I can do doors quickly again, but I can't do those. Let me do comms. All right. So, oh, and that's the other thing. When you sabotage these main ones here, the lights, comms, you cannot do another sabotage. So if you want to close doors before a main sabotage, you want to do that. Otherwise, you can't close the doors after you've done a main sabotage. All right, to do this one, you have to pull this up and you have to dial in to where this wave looks like this wave, and it gets clearer as you scroll through. Oh, I almost right there. And if you hold it in place, you'll see that there's an arrow, or there's a red light that goes off and it gets green. So, um, all right, the next sabotage I'll show you is lights. So for you as an imposter, you're not going to see the lights go out. You'll be able to see everything. But let's go and actually show you how to fix that. We're here in electrical. So go to the little panel right here, open that up, and then you want to flip each one of these switches until they are green. And that's fixed. All right, and then the reactor is the same as the O2. Again, I'm going to show you where you would put your hand if that did go off. Again, you can do this as an imposter or a crewmate. So the first place to put your hand is here. You can't see it because it's on the opposite side. But then the other one, you can actually see it right here. You get up to it and then you put your hand on it. You actually have to hold your hand down. I might do that as a last step because I can't technically do that as one person. All right, so let's talk about venting. Venting basically just means that you can go from one room to another, and there are several locations where the vents happen. So as we can see here, there's one right here. I'm going to just show you. There's a vent that goes here that goes to the upper engine. There's a vent down here that goes to lower engine, I believe down here. There's a vent in security that goes to either med bay, which is right around here, or electrical right here in the corner. There is another vent over here in the cafeteria that goes to the, it's been a while. So I think it goes up here to weapons. We'll go and we'll test it out. But I believe that one goes to, no, that one doesn't go there. That one either goes to the corner vent right here in the hallway. It might actually go up to the one up here as well. We'll test that out in a minute. And then there's a vent up here that goes to weapons. And then there's a vent here that goes from navigation down to shields. And then there's also a vent here that goes from admin to this one as well. So let's test out those locations so you can kind of see how you can go. So there's only one direction to go here in the reactor room to the upper engine. All right. So that's the first one. Second one, I actually almost missed it, is right here. And you can click down to go to the other one here in lower engine. The vent in electrical goes two locations. You can see two arrows here. One will pop out into security, and then the other one will go into medbay. You can actually click on the arrows without actually venting yet, just to see, like, for example, if I wanted to vent out here, probably not a good idea because I can see there's a person in this room. Same thing here. If there's a person here, I probably wouldn't want to vent into it. But since this is just a sample, I'm just going to show you. That's how that happens. All right, now the next vent location is here in the cafeteria. And okay, yeah, it does go to two locations. So either the corner in this hallway or the corner in the admin room. So you can vent at either of those locations. And then the vent up here that goes to nav, and then the other nav vent goes to shields. So that's the only location you can vent to. And then there's a vent here that goes down to shields. All right. Now, a couple other tips about venting and just being aware of things that you're around. This vent is going to be visible by this camera. So if you see this light on, that means that someone in security is actually on the camera watching, and there's a potential that they might see you vent. So that's something to be careful of. Once you're beyond this point, you can't be visible. I think it's up until this point that you can actually be still seen, even though it's showing this. We'll look at the cameras here in a second. So if you're up here, you cannot be seen on that camera venting from room to room. All right, I'll show you a couple other spots that are on the camera. Here's another camera spot. So most of the time it's like right here cut off, and then you can, I think it's right here cut off as well. So people going in and out of med bay can be seen through this hallway. Here's the next spot for the camera. Just this hallway. I don't think you can see too much into this room. Same thing here. I don't think it shows too much of the security room. And I believe, sorry, there's actually one more spot. The admin room has another security camera. We'll take a look at those views so you can see how much of each room is actually on the camera. Oops, I missed it. So here's the camera. You can be seen up here, a little bit down there, and then I think right here is the cutoff for this camera. You can't be seen any further than that. So let's actually go and take a look at what those cameras look like when you're on them. All right, to use the camera, you have to get close enough to the screen to see. All right, so as I described before, this is the camera over by navigation. You can barely just see behind it. You can see just below the vent. So you can see if anybody vents here. That's a really easy spot to catch an imposter. They're trying to vent away. Here's the one in admin room. So you can see a little bit behind it, and just right at the end of this little hallway, and just barely into the cafeteria room. Here's the one by security. You can see a little bit of the hallway going into the reactor room and then into the security room. You really can't see either room very much. It's just these hallways. If you see someone coming in here and you're on security, I would probably jump off of security and jump out of the room so you don't get killed. If that's only one person coming in. And then this is the hallway right above the med bay coming from the cafeteria room. So this is med bay and cafeteria going to upper engine. All right, so that is the view there. Now, let's talk about killing. So as soon as you are next to someone, it'll actually light up with the kill button. So you can kill. The thing to keep in mind here is you do have a cooldown time. Most of the time, those settings can be visible in the lobby before the game starts. And of course, recommendations after you kill someone is to get away quickly if you can without being seen. Obviously, this is just a sample game, so I'm going to just vent in and kill the next person. Another thing to keep in mind is there is not a cooldown on the vent for imposters, but there is if you're an engineer. So if someone sees you venting like pretty quickly, that's a good indication that that person is the imposter. And of course, if you kill someone, that's another dead giveaway. Gotta wait for my cooldown. All right, I'm trying to remember where I saw more people. There's another person. All right. I have done my job as an imposter. Okay, so let's go and let's do a couple of other new role type things. So, as we've had a recent update on the Among Us app, you have now the ability to be an engineer, which allows you to vent. Like I mentioned before, there is a cooldown, so we'll kind of go through that together. We can be a guardian, which basically allows you to protect people. That only happens after someone's been after you've been killed or you've been voted off as a crewmate. And then you can be a scientist, which allows you to see vitals. And vitals is basically a feature that wasn't originally on this map, but it allows you to see when people die if you're looking at it. So let's start with the scientist. And as you can see, the vitals, it's going to actually show you, it's only going to pop up every once in a while. So you can see those heartbeats. And I guess I can't do this while I'm as the scientist, but basically, let's do some tasks. To get the vitals to pop up again, you just have to do more tasks. That's what generates the battery. And unfortunately, to get that battery to pop back up, if you've got a two-stepper, you have to do both steps. All right, so now you can see the vitals is up again. So if I go and I click on this and I see that someone's no longer living, it'll actually show their the box is red, and it'll just be a flat line. So you'll know that that person is dead, and you can go throughout and kind of see if you can find that person. So I think that's pretty much the gist of the scientist role. It's not quite as useful as the engineer. You kind of have to be looking at it as someone dies to figure out, okay, that person just died, and if someone reports it right away, sometimes that could mean that they are the imposter self-reporting, or it could be that they saw the person. So, all right, that's pretty much it for the scientist. We'll do the engineer next. So really, it's just the same thing as being an imposter. You can vent, but you'll see the vents are in blue here. One nice thing about this is you can actually stay in the vent, and it'll actually show you how long you can stay in the vent before you can pop out. So sometimes if you're in the vent, you can see things happening, but it's going to eventually pop you out, so you can't stay in it in forever. And then there's also a countdown, so I can't vent again until another 30 seconds. You can customize those settings in the lobby before the game starts. That's the default. So that's pretty much it as a engineer. And then being a guardian, let's see if I can actually show you how to do this. Okay, so I look like I look like an actual angel now. You can see the wings. That's how you know you're a guardian. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to go next to one of the crewmates, and the the first thing to do here is to make sure that you're not protecting an imposter. So you kind of have to make sure you know who the imposter is. Obviously, if you were killed, you'll know who that person is. But let's just say I know this person is a crewmate. To go ahead and protect them, you need to get near them enough, close enough that this button pops up for protect. And then if you click on it, you'll see there's a little angel that circles them, I think for about 10 seconds. This is the default protection time. And that basically means if the imposter is near them and they're trying to kill them, it won't allow them to be killed. Now, as soon as that angel goes away, that means that they are not invisible again, and they are invincible again, and they can be killed at any time. There is a cooldown. I think the default on the angel cooldown is 60 seconds, but I think the lowest it can go is 35. So kind of have to time your protections well. And unfortunately, I can't protect again for another 19 seconds. That's pretty much it for the roles and how they work. Um, the only other thing to keep in mind is if you are, oh, sorry, shapeshifter. That's a really important thing. Uh, so the shapeshifter means that as an imposter, you can shift over into someone else, and that's really a cool feature. So if I want to shift, let's just say I'm going to shift into orange. Now, the thing to note here is there's a cooldown, so I can only be another person for that amount of time. I think it's about 30 seconds. So when you're shifting, honestly, the thing to do, I would probably try and recommend finding a spot where you can kind of hide and you can't be seen. Watch what happens when I unshift or shift back. The color of my egg, so to speak, is my normal color. So that's, did you see that was a gray color, which is, if someone sees me shifting, they're going to see that color. And that's one way to know who the imposter is. Whatever color the egg is, that's the color of the shifter. So again, watch. I'm going to go into a corner and see if I can hide for a second and shift. So my egg is the gray color. And you can unshift at any time. If you want to do it before the timer runs out, you can do that. And again, there is a cooldown on the shifting. Looks like the default is about 10 seconds. The only thing is you cannot shift while you're in event. You can see that that option went away. You can only shift when you're actually out of event. All right. So that is really helpful when you're an imposter as a shapeshifter. I recommend trying to kill as a shapeshifter where visible, people can see you. Um, and then just try to run away because most of the time people are going to try to report that body right away before your shifting runs out. That's pretty much it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave some comments in the comment section. And if you have any other questions, I can follow up with another video. But that's a basic tutorial on how to play Among Us and the various roles and the various tasks. All right. Have a good one.